The other day, I walked into a local game store, one of the few still standing after the last few years. I was excited, genuinely excited, to meet the owners, see the space, and maybe find that spark of community that made me fall in love with gaming in the first place. But the moment I started talking, I felt it. Suspicion, guardedness, like she thought I was a salesman, another opportunist trying to sell her something. I told her, I'm not here to sell. I'm a local indie creator. I'm building a fantasy trading card game, and I'm looking for some stores to team up with. We're funding tournaments, bringing in cosplayers, sponsoring prizes, and trying to rebuild the in-person scene. But before I could even finish, she cut me off. Listen, dude, I don't want any new TCGs. I smiled and stayed calm. I get it. You don't know me yet. Maybe I sound like every other guy who's promised to help and disappeared. She sighed. It's not that. I just don't have the staff, I don't have the time to teach new games or run events. So I offered to volunteer. Let me come in. I'll run the events, I'll train your team, I'll do it myself for free. She shook her head again. There's just no reason to take on a new TCG. The market's flooded, and the ones that sell already have demand. And that's when I realized something deeper. She wasn't protecting her business from failure, she was protecting it from change. I told her, you're right, it is flooded, and that's why we're here. The current player base is over 30 years old and shrinking. New players aren't replacing the ones aging out. Stores are closing, the culture's fading, and the few that survive, they're not thriving, they're inheriting the scraps. She didn't like that. We're doing fine, she said very angrily. Events 7 days a week, we know how to run a business unlike most stores. And that's when it hit me. She mocked the others who didn't make it. There was almost pride in her voice, pride that while others went under, she got their customers. She became the funnel, the last port in the storm for displaced players from all the failed stores around her. She thought that was proof she was winning, but what she couldn't see was that she wasn't inheriting growth, she was inheriting decay. And one by one, those players will age out, host their games at home, stop collecting, turn to proxies, or quit entirely. That's not growth, that's hospice. So I asked her, what got you into this business? Comics, fantasy, the stories? She stiffened. This business is exactly what I always wanted it to be. That was the saddest thing I'd heard all day, because I could tell. At one time, she loved this culture, but somewhere along the line, the dream became inventory. The wonder became logistics. Still, I tried one last time. Okay, forget business. As a friend, what advice would you give me? Don't start a TCG, she said. Well, what if all the data says the market's ready for disruption? Then go to conventions, she said. I told her conventions are expensive. That's why we're starting local, to build the community first. And then she shrugged. I haven't even seen your product, dude. Well, we just happened to bring some. So I handed her a sample card. She examined it, nodded slightly. Okay, well, the art's actually pretty good. I told her, thank you. We have a team of international award-winning artists, and we actually learned a lot from our first few print rounds. And we're already working on improving. She seized on that. See, if your product's low quality, no one's gonna buy it. I said, isn't learning and improving the very heart of creation? Every mistake makes the next version better. Wouldn't you want to see that level of due diligence from an indie creator? But every word of hope was met with cynicism. And finally I asked, what would it take for us to work together? She laughed and said, bring me a bag of money. And I realized this is what so many local game stores have become. Once sanctuaries for dreamers, artists, and outcasts, now reduced to fortresses of profit run by people who used to believe in magic but traded it for survival. And I don't blame them. After COVID, after years of struggle, they did what they had to do. But that's exactly why we have to bring the magic back. Because a generation is vanishing. The culture that raised us, the late night tournaments, the friendships, the smell of sleeves and fresh booster packs. It's slipping away. And the industry's answer has been to push more product, chase more crossovers, and hope nostalgia keeps paying the bills. But nostalgia isn't a business model, it's a memory. And if no one rebuilds the dream, it dies with the last of us who remember what it felt like. So yeah, maybe she's doing fine for now, but I'd rather be the one fighting for the future than profiting off the ashes of the past. because I still believe in the power of imagination, in community, in the spark that happens when people gather around a table and tell stories together. So if that makes me naive, good, because the world doesn't need another shopkeeper. It needs believers. And I plan to be one until my last breath. Because where they see a flooded market, I see a dying forest, starved by sunlight, choked by its own roots, and I'm here to bring the fire to burn away the rot so that new life can grow again. And when the smoke clears, we'll gather around the ashes and rebuild something worth believing in. Because every age of magic begins with someone willing to strike the first spark.